So I've got Mav and Mav. We're arguing who's going to be called Maverick. This is the original Maverick. This is the real
Darren Peter Mitchell. Pete Mitchell.
His name is actually Peter Mitchell, like really is. So I can't argue with that. We're going to talk about the ejection seats. We promised this ages ago, and we're going to go through it. There's a bit of a crowd as well, so if you want to talk and then we can involve people, I don't mind or whatever. However you want to do it.
We've got two marks.
Yeah.
One is the British system, which is the H7. This one is the H7A3. That is American Navy.
Okay.
All right. That was designed for the F4J. This one is from
Yes, they wanted to see how many people that
there are subtle differences
actually flown
to the ejection seats, seat pan handles. There's also the oxygen system is slightly different, as we can see here.
So, okay, so what's the differences? Why?
On the British system, we have an oxygen bottle.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So, and everything is done through the personal connector here.
Yeah.
Which he just connects in. He gets his oxygen from the aircraft through this.
Yeah.
That is when he's needed when he ejects. If he's unfortunate to eject, he'll get his oxygen through there until he's allowed to be released by the seat at the correct level.
Right. Okay.
All right. So there are subtle differences. The leg restraints are slightly different.
Yep.
As I say, the seat pan is slightly different. At the end of the day, they still do the same job.
So what mark is this one?
This is the Mark 7.
Mark 7. Oh, there we go. So is this a later version to that? So would Martin Baker have made this after?
No, it was made at the same time, but it's purely adapted to its operational requirements,
Right.
which were for the US Navy.
Okay. So I guess there was different ejection, like 0-0 ejection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are also the straps are slightly different.
Yeah.
All do the same job there, but
Yeah.
just subtle differences on to that seat
Yeah.
compared to this one.
Yep.
On the floor, we have there's the rocket pack.
So where would this have been located? At the
This
back?
would have been located underneath here.
Okay.
The pivot there. If I flip him over, there you can see the Venturis.
Yep.
All right. So once that seat reaches its limit, as it leaves the aircraft, this will have a pin which will be pulled from a lanyard which is attached to the floor of the aircraft.
Yep.
And that's obviously the Venturis, and it will come out at speed. Now, if you notice, you have a weight adjuster there. That gets attached to there.
Okay.
So you have to dial in your weight
Oh, on every flight?
on every flight. So if somebody else gets in
Yeah.
and weighs different to you,
So would the pilot weigh himself before every flight, or would they just generally know what they're weighing?
they normally know their weight.
Okay.
But they have to know their weight, so they can dial their weight
They
in.
dial it into
pounds.
there, and it shows you there. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because if you don't, you can end up ejecting somewhere where you're not supposed to eject.
Right. Okay.
You know, like
maybe. Good crew response.
yeah, possibly, yeah. It's funny that all the aircrew said the same thing.
So, right. So, what are the individual parts? So like that head, the head.
Right.
So we're starting at the top.
Face screen,
Yep.
handle. All right.
And that does that set the ejection
That was
sequence as well.
Now, if you watched Top Gun Maverick,
Yeah.
you have heard him say, "Pull the handle on the top of the seat."
Yeah.
In movie,
Yeah.
said handle.
Yeah.
Probably because when he got into the aircraft, there was the pin still in it.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't pull the pin, did they? In
No.
the movie. That was my thought behind it. Was
When he did not pull no pin.
because that's it, part of your pre-flight checks is take your
But
pin,
obviously
safety
it was all
pins
done
out.
in a rush.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's sitting there trying to pull it
Yeah.
with one hand and then two hand. Nothing's coming because that's still
The pin is still in place.
yeah.
I take it these aren't live.
No.
No, these have been deactivated.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have a seat pan handle.
Yep.
Now, if you're flying, your hand's closer to that than that.
Yeah.
So if your hand's on the control column,
Yeah.
it's there to there, boom.
So
Yeah.
I guess these are if you're in like different Gs or whatever forces.
No, not necessarily. It depends. It's been on many aircraft, but if you're a nav, it's just another
another
option.
option.
It's a backup.
Okay.
At the end of the day. So, drogue chute sits in here.
Yep.
Okay. Main gun is there. Now you have a primary cartridge which sits at the top. Halfway down, you have another one there, and then another one there. So, sequence of the gun. It's a telescopic gun, so that is fired.
Yep.
Explosive charge goes all the way down to the bottom.
Yep.
Starts lifting back up. When it gets to this distance, where the first of the secondary explosives are, that will then ignite. So far up, next one will ignite. That will give a smoother launch of the telescopic tube. So once this aircraft is at its maximum of the telescopic tube, the rocket pack, which is attached to the floor, pulls the pin out, that ignites, the rocket pack gives him another boost, gets him out, and off he goes. He's no longer in the aircraft. Because before that rocket pack goes off, he's still technically attached to the aircraft via the gun.
So there's so many sequences and things that. So your job was to service these, right? Is that
Part of one of my
your
jobs
was
in
to
my
service these?
service.
So how on a particular service, how often do they have to be serviced?
On a very regular basis, and everything, all nuts and bolts which are used are thrown away and replaced with new.
So it's more or less stripped, is it?
Complete strip.
Complete strip.
And they do crack testing on the slippers, which are the slides.
Yep.
Everything has to be checked.
So how many flights on average would it be before they'd totally take it out and strip it?
It could be 6 weeks. It could be 6 months.
But it wouldn't really go that.
No, but the aircraft is like the seat rather has a log, so we know when it's due its next service.
Right. Okay.
All right, but you've got other components. This component here is the barostatic time release unit, BTRU. This little part here, everybody's grannies or granddads or mums have got one of these hanging on their wall, tells you what pressure.
Like a barometer.
Yes, it's exactly the same part in that as it is there.
And is that, if I'm right, is that when that releases the pilot from the seat?
Yeah, it
So
depends
at
whether
a lower
it's
altitude.
10,000 feet or 5,000 metres or the other way around. I can't
Because
remember.
if they released higher, they'd suffocate, or they would be too high.
Well, it's that, and also it's one's designed for over the sea and one's designed over a mountainous area.
Right. Okay.
There's one you don't want to eject near a mountain and land on it,
And
and vice versa.
Yeah.
I can't remember which is which. One's 5,000 metres, one's 10,000 feet, or the other way around. I can't remember.
Guys, I'm so sorry to interrupt this video, but I'm going to show you the ejection sequence, courtesy of this week's sponsor, which is Beam Eye Tracker. Beam Eye Tracker is an in-game eye tracking software that allows you to look around the cockpit of your aircraft without anything on your head, any infrared or any devices, and it's only £20, under £20 actually, and that's a one-off fee. It's not annual, it's not monthly, it's just a one-off fee of £20. Guys, watch the ejection sequence.
We've lost cabin pressure.
Okay, I'm going to reach for the ejection handle, hold. And if you look with my Beam Eye Tracker, I can look around. I can look in, I can zoom right in and have a look, zoom out, all by using my head. Now we're going to see what Darren was talking about with the pressure switch, and we'll see the pilot release at some point. There we go, on cue. So there we go, we can see the pilot is safely ejected, and I can look around anywhere just as if it was my real body. Look, so cool. So This is BMI Tracker, guys. Go and have a look at my link down below. That's my trusted affiliate link. And if you're quick, there's an offer running this week where it's even cheaper, 20% off. Use my link below. Back to the video.
It's been such a long time.
Yeah.
All right. So each component does something. The other one here, this is the manual release. So if there's an issue with said instrument, you can manually.
Oh, okay. I always wondered what that was for. So basically that will release you from the chair.
Yeah, that will manually release you. All right. So that's your main on one side.
I've had a checkered career in the Air Force in as much as
And then
I've got 1,000 hours on equipment for
we have the guillotine unit. That will cut the drogue there.
Okay.
Because you don't want to be attached to that.
No.
That will fire the bolt inside there. That's your drogue bolt.
Yeah.
So when that gun goes off, that cable there is what pulls the drogue chute out of there. The drogue chute stabilises the seat.
Yeah.
Otherwise you'll be doing. So that will cut the guillotine, which is in there. That's a very, 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 very sharp blade.
What, inside here?
Yeah, inside there is a blade.
And then
That will, when that goes off, it goes straight up, cuts
straight through there. And is that like spring loaded, is it? Or
when that goes off, that will go off.
when it, that's hefty cable as well. That's like hefty nylon, isn't it? So
You think about it, the blast,
yeah.
that is sharp.
Yeah.
So it will go off. So we've seen the weight adjustment where the pilot has to adjust his weight.
But he stayed into
That's where he plugs himself in
Yeah.
to the aircraft. So you've got an aircraft portion,
Yeah.
which is physically attached to the aircraft.
Yeah.
He has a portion which is attached to his flight suit.
Yeah.
So as soon as he gets in, checks in, that will give him comms and oxygen. All right. So he's fed oxygen from the aircraft, from a LOX compound, LOX pot. That will give him everything he needs. And then obviously you've already seen the emergency oxygen parachute assembly. Brilliant bit. These are great fun. We used to use these for around our boots.
I was going to say they look like twisters. Like
Yeah,
twisties.
but we used to use them.
Yeah.
No, like you guys
You took
with,
your arm, you took your trousers into.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
instead of
yeah.
having
We used to call them
putties,
twisties.
instead of putties,
Yeah.
just use this.
Okay. Well, actually, why would you buy anything if you've got them?
We didn't.
Exactly.
We went to safety equipment. We've got any of these spare?
Yeah, they'll do.
So yeah, so everything all does a job. So you're literally strapped to that.
Yeah.
Once when you're strapped out and you're floating down, you've got your PSP. This piece here.
And that's your survival pack, isn't it?
Yes. Dinghy, flares, survival food,
Yeah.
water.
One thing I was going to ask, actually, going off the subject slightly, but was there a specific ration survival pack for a pilot seat, or was it the same as what, like a ration pack that a
It'd be
grunt
like a
would get?
24-hour ration pack.
So it would just be a normal 24-hour
Yeah, it'd be
ration?
like a little hexagon stove.
Yeah. So they just use a standard military ration pack?
Basically, yeah.
Okay, that was
Yeah.
always what I wondered.
Yeah.
If they filled them with
then you've got a dinghy.
Yeah.
So you can use a dinghy for shelter,
Yeah.
or obviously for floating.
Like them one-man dinghies. Like
Yes.
yeah.
The ones where you can.
Yeah. I don't know if
So-
you saw that. I done a video with me in one of those on a lake. So that was
I
probably.
wouldn't want to stay in one a long time.
They're not very comfortable.
No. So that is also strapped to him.
Yeah.
Okay. So as he's coming down, that's on the lanyard.
Yeah.
It's also would let him know. He knows he's coming up to the ground quickly because he's controlling himself.
Yeah.
But that will hit the ground first.
all the time.
So you can mentally prepare yourself and you're ready to go. Down,
And
roll.
roll with it.
Yeah. So yeah.
And what's in this part here? I've always wondered
That is
that.
the parachute.
Oh, so that's the actual parachute.
Yeah, the parachute
Makes sense,
sits in here.
Yeah.
All right. That is just a storage unit.
It's not very big, really, is it? When you think about what, like,
How
a
big the
parachute
parachute
pack.
is,
Yeah.
if you look at how big a parachute
Yeah, they're
is,
massive. They're really big.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is folded into that.
That's amazing.
Everything is in there.
Yeah, that's really. And how does the parachute release from here? Is that the drogue chute pulls it? Or,
Yeah, well, when this will release from here. When it gets to the right height,
Yeah.
it will release from there.
Yeah.
Which is inertia here as well. That auto releases.
Yeah,
So-
okay.
and
Oh,
then
I
as
see.
he's-
So okay.
As he's coming down, he's also got the.
So you can pull the parachute manually if it doesn't deploy.
Yes.
Wow. So there are fail safes then. Like you've got that and you've got that.
You've got to have a fail-safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are brilliant bits of kit. They've saved many lives, Martin Baker.
But yeah, they actually display in the factory how many lives they've saved, don't they? Above
Yeah.
the factory.
Yeah, I mean, pilots give us a barrel of beer, they get a tie.
Yeah, it's
Crazy, isn't it?
crazy, but I think you deserve a barrel of beer if you can service this and keep it in working order to save their life.
Yeah, so if you can imagine, I mean, okay, it's been shortened. Shoulders, your head's there,
Yeah.
shoulders, you're strapped in sideways
Yeah.
from there, then leg restraints there. These are also anchored to the floor.
And they stop your legs being ripped off when you come out.
Two things.
Supposed to.
Stop your legs from flailing.
Yeah.
However, what it does do is your ankles are in direct line of that.
Is that what breaks their ankles then when you see
It's not
these
so much-
pilots that have had their ankles broken? Or?
Sometimes, but they tend to also get burn marks on their boots
Okay.
from that. But I'd rather have my legs pulled in tight
Yeah.
and a bit of burn mark
Yeah.
than having no legs.
Having no legs at all. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, if your leg got ripped off, you're going to be dead by the time you get to hit the ground with bleeding, aren't you? So
Yeah. So that is the basic of the seat. This is the bit which attaches you for the seat, the PSP. So the pilot has another clip on him.
Yeah.
So when he gets in, he'll clip himself to that.
And that does what? Sorry.
That is a lanyard,
Yeah.
which is attached to this.
The survival pack.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
your guide. So as it lowers, as it hits the ground,
Yeah.
that's the bit. So he could, if he wanted to, I don't want to carry this.
Release it. Okay. And also, one other question which I've been obsessed by ejection seats all of my life. I love them. I think they're brilliant. And the handles are they're just so cool. They give them to you when you've ejected, don't if they're
That's
so,
right, I've got one at home.
Yeah. But one question I did, and I thought about it the other day actually. Do they actually, when you pull that, does it fully come off, or is it attached to a lead?
It's attached.
Socket dangling or?
Yeah, it's physically attached. You don't keep it in your hand.
That was what I thought.
Yeah.
And I thought it makes no sense to have it in your hand, does it? So,
It's held in by a pin, and then a split pin goes through.
right. Okay.
So yeah, but it's a small pin.
Yeah.
Then a split pin.
So that would just be dangling off after when that seat's hit the ground. That would just be dangling off it.
That's just going to be dangling on the
Okay.
seat. So when you eventually find what's left of the seat,
Yeah.
after it's fallen down,
Yeah. And the same applies to that. That would just be a head cover.
it literally comes over. It's called
like
a face screen.
Canvas cover. It's like canvas, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's called a face screen for a reason.
Yeah.
It covers your face.
So realistically, then that would be your ideal ejection. You wouldn't pull that one. You'd pull that one because you'd cover your face from any.
I think, I mean, the pilots probably have explained better than I.
Yeah.
Is whether the visors will come down automatically. I don't know.
Right.
Personally, I would pull the handle which is closest to my hand,
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
which is that one.
Yeah. You're not going to be thinking about it too much.
I mean, I would imagine if you're a nav from the back, then I would still go for that. It's closest.
Yeah.
But you see them in the movies, pull the face screen,
Yeah.
That's what that is. It's just, they're all backups.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. Is there anything on the other seat that's different to this drastically, or?
No, basically it's the
Why do the
same.
Americans use a rigid one and we use
I
that
think
type?
it's what they put inside.
I mean the handle. It's like a
The
metal one.
yeah, it's a metal one. That's your safety pin. That is.
Yeah.
That's been held in. But why, I don't know.
It's just a design difference.
It's quite possibly, yeah. And it's all to do with your PSP, the cables.
Yeah.
But so I've had very little to do with it. But the straps are different. how they strap their feet in. So it's still.
Oh, they have these that go. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
these. Yeah, they stay on the flight suit, don't they?
That's right, yeah. And you know, but
So like in pre-flight, they'll put them on.
yeah. Now that's the bit which is attached to the.
Sorry, going back to the British one. So it's just a loop on the British one. You just loop your legs through it.
Yeah. Well, they're actually hanging down. So
Anyway, you've got the air raid shoulders out there. What?
Yeah.
yeah. So that's in there, held in there. They put this on.
Yeah.
It's fed through, and it links into there. So you pull that,
Yeah.
and you pull the thing out. But yeah, that stays on the flight suit. The British version is literally just a loop.
So how does that loop work then in regards to putting your feet on the rudder pedals?
Yeah,
Does that
right. So all that
yeah.
does, if you can see,
Yeah.
goes and then pushes in.
So where does this sit when you're flying though?
Where does what sit? Sorry.
So if I'm flying,
Yeah.
am I wrapping that round before I start?
Yes. So as you strap in, it's part of it, and then you can adjust it like that.
So that would give me enough room to reach the rudder pedals?
Yes. So you could actually loosen that all the way round. That will just sit like so.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. Well, so much involved, ain't there? Good on.
There is, to strip one of these down, it's a long job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Many components.
And where it says front seat on that, is there much difference between the front seat and the back seat ejection seat? No, pretty much the same.
Yeah. We will mark them up as front and rear.
Okay. I guess that's just for ease for when you put it back in and you know it fits exactly and whatnot. Okay, that's cool. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I know you've been really busy, so I appreciate you doing that.
You're welcome.
So, Pete
you
Mitchell.
help us.
And you have really ejected in a Tomcat, haven't you?
No, I haven't.
I thought Maverick had. He's ejected 3 times. No, but thank you. No, I appreciate
so
that.
just remember, it's Darren Pete Mitchell.
Darren Pete. Nice. That's it.